Who is Jaco the Galactic Patrolman? You know, that little purple guy in the Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F, Fukkatsu No F, Revival of F, whatever trailer. You're going to find out right now.
東宝シネマズのシネマイレージカード。映画を6本見ると次の1本は無料になるんですよ。
なんだと？フリーザー！シネマイレージに入会してドラゴンボール Z 復活の F を見よう。
特製クリアファイルですって？
Shortly after the release of Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods and the return of Dragon Ball Z, in the summer we got another huge return related to Dragon Ball as Akira Toriyama decided to come back and write a brand new short story series entitled Jaco the Galactic Patrolman, which ran in Weekly Shonen Jump much like Dragon Ball and Dr. Slump had done decades earlier. What we did not know until the very end of Jaco was that Jaco was indeed a prequel story before the events of Dragon Ball and a brand new inclusion into Toriyama's universe. After the release of the third trailer for Dragon Ball Z Fukkatsu No F / Resurrection F, Jaco the Galactic Patrolman is in the trailer and is confirmed for the film. We are not 100% sure as to what his involvement will be in the film. We do know that the spaceship that appears at the end of Chapter 2 of Toyotaro's manga adaptation is not Goku. Why would Goku use the ship if he can teleport, folks? It is Jaco, and even though we're unsure as to how he gets here, I think I have an idea. But in order to find out, and in order to speculate on this, we have to go back to the beginning. Now, I'm going to suggest that everybody go out there and get themselves a copy of Jaco the Galactic Patrolman, the comic. Viz has put it out. The MSRP on it is $10, folks. It is $10. Well worth the price of admission. I've got my copy, as you can see right there. I breezed through reading through this thing. It's so much fun. It's such a fun Toriyama story. And you could get it for less than $10, I'm sure. You can go to Amazon, eBay, and get it a lot cheaper than that. But it's well worth the price, especially if you are a fan of Dragon Ball. Even if you don't have any of the other Dragon Ball manga, even if you don't really read manga, because I'm not a huge reader of a lot of comics anymore, not as much as I used to when I was younger. But I had such a blast reading this thing. It was a great time. So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys the scoop as to who Jaco is, and I am going to be giving out some light spoilers. I do not want to give out the entire story of the Jaco comic. It's only one story, one comic so far. I think it was 13 chapters put together into one, book. I'm not going to give out too many details, but I am going to give out just briefly what happens and the story that could, I guess you can call it, that could connect to Dragon Ball Z Fukkatsu No F. So, Jaco is one of the 38 members of what is called the Galactic Patrol. The Galactic Patrol is led by the Galactic King, and the Galactic Patrol is basically a group of organized, I guess you can call them space cops or intergalactic military police force, and what they do is they are deep in the galaxy, very far away from Earth, and they basically try to protect the peace of the galaxy. Now, nowhere in Dragon Ball, whether it be in the manga, the movies, nowhere is any of this referenced. This is all brand new, I guess you can call it retroactive continuity. It is retconning from Akira Toriyama. This is very similar to how, if you watch the original 3 Star Wars movies, the films, you don't hear anything about Coruscant or Qui-Gon Jinn or the Jedi Council. All that stuff was just fluff that was thrown in for the prequels. You don't hear about it. You don't learn about it till later. That's kind of what's going on here, is that while all the events of Dragon Ball was going on, and before Dragon Ball, the Galactic Patrol was out in space. And even though it's not specified in the comic whatsoever, in the Jaco comic, they have been having issues with Frieza and with the Saiyans. Jaco himself says that, the Saiyans have been trouble, and he basically goes into the whole description of them in the latter half of the comic. So, Jaco and the Galactic Patrol basically are Akira Toriyama's take on the Green Lantern Corps. And of course, if you're really a nerd, you'll know that Marvel took the idea for the Green Lantern Corps and made the Nova Corps. So those of you who saw Guardians of the Galaxy last summer, you know what the Nova Corps now is if you're not a comic book guy. And it's kind of interesting, too, that Toriyama, to expand his universe, creates this military police force. And like I said, it's implied that they've been having issues with Frieza's army. Frieza, of course, is like the emperor of the universe at this time. This is before Dragon Ball. He's still around. King Cold is still around. The whole family. They're like the Hutts. Does that make sense? And they've been causing trouble. And from what I understand, from what it's implied, it looks like the Galactic Patrol, because Jaco himself says he is not as powerful as the Saiyans. So he is powerful. He can do stuff that regular humans can't, but he's not on their level. Therefore, I'm sure that they've been having trouble dealing with Frieza. So, the story begins as Jaco is on his way to Earth, as the Galactic Patrol has sent him there because they've received word that there has been an alien spaceship with an evil, dangerous alien headed to Earth to destroy the Earth. Now, those of you who are fans of Dragon Ball know exactly who I'm talking about, right? So Jaco's on his way to Earth, and he gets caught up watching movies on his ship. And I never recommend watching movies while driving because something like this could happen. He crashes into the moon, which does damage to his ship, and he winds up on Earth with a damaged ship. More of that Toriyama humor. So Jaco's on Earth, and he meets an old man, a lonely old man on an island named Omori, who's a scientist. And Omori's backstory is that he had been trying for years to create a time machine to go back in time and save his wife after a freak accident. And he's been trying to keep it a secret. And he's a genius, he's a brilliant scientist, unlike Bardock. And Jaco and him meet, and they have some kind of, some fun little interaction. Well, the main plot of the story is Jaco's trying to repair his ship, and it really becomes kind of a fish out of water story. He goes into the city and runs into some criminals and winds up accidentally beating up some cops, and it does get just really, really funny. And the thing about Jaco's character is that he's very much like a good guy version of the Ginyu Force. Lots of posing. He considers himself a super elite. He hates it when people, make fun of his height. He's very conscious about that. Just a really fun story. So, to fast forward, this is a little bit of a spoiler. Jaco winds up meeting Tights, who is Bulma's sister. Now, before we go any further, I want to just say that as of this recording, Tights is not confirmed for Dragon Ball Z Fukkatsu No F. That is a bullshit rumor. Somebody took art from Dragon Quest V of Bianca, who is one of the wives that you can choose from in that video game, which Toriyama also drew the characters for. So she looks like she would look like Tights, and put it on the internet saying it was Tights. Tights is not scheduled for this movie as far as we know. The picture out there that you see of quote-unquote Tights from Dragon Ball Z Fukkatsu No F, that is Bianca. It's fake, and that's the stuff I was talking about in my other video about the phony baloney BS going around about this movie. So anyways, he meets Tights. Now, Tights is Bulma's older sister, and Tights is a failed science fiction writer, or at least she becomes a failed science fiction writer. During this time, she had gone off to college. Bulma's only about 3 years old, I believe, during the events of Jaco. So, Tights, another character. Again, Tights has never been mentioned by Bulma, by Dr. Briefs, by anybody in the Dragon Ball continuity until now. This is more Toriyama retconning. So I'm sure many folks are wondering, where has Tights been during all this? Why hasn't Tights come home to meet, Vegeta and her nephew Trunks and, things like that? Well, as far as we can tell, Tights is kind of estranged from the family. Tights does not want to be recognized on the fact that she is a Briefs. She wants to become successful on her own merits. And throughout the entire Jaco story until the very end, we don't even know that she is related to Bulma until the end, when she finally gives in and allows Dr. Briefs and Bulma's mother to appear on the island that Omori is on. And guess who fixes Jaco's ship? The brilliant-minded 3-year-old Bulma. So that already establishes the connection between Jaco and Bulma, which has already been teased in Chapter 3 of the Toyotaro manga, which is not out yet, but there is a teaser out there for it. And so Jaco knows who Bulma is, even though it's been years and years and years since they've spoken. So Jaco ends up getting his ship fixed by Bulma, and he leaves. And it's implied that he came back every so often, you know, to have some adventures. So maybe he took Tights with him. Maybe him and Tights were exploring the universe, and maybe they were told to keep it a secret. That could be an easy way to get out of explaining where she's been for goddamn 30, 40 years that Dragon Ball takes place. So yes, the Galactic Patrol, like I said earlier, is Toriyama's take on the Green Lantern Corps. And if you have any doubts about that, take a look at this picture of Sorbet from Dragon Ball Z Fukkatsu No F. And what's that? Yes, that is what appears to be a yellow ring, which, if you don't know about the yellow ring, the arch nemesis of the Green Lantern Corps in the DC universe is the Sinestro Corps, which are the Yellow Lanterns, and they use magical rings for their power as well. So I love it. You know, if you're familiar with Toriyama's works, you know that he gets inspiration from all kinds of stuff, whether it be Jackie Chan, whether it be 80s American movies. He's a huge fan of that. The Red Ribbon Army was based off of Mega Man, of all things. Shout outs to Mr. Mega Man fan on YouTube. So it's, you know, it's cool. Like I'm cool with these kind of homages / you know, I don't care if it's copying. Who cares? Anyways, what is Jaco's involvement in Fukkatsu No F? What we do know is that after Frieza was killed and King Cold was killed, Frieza's empire fell apart. Much like the rumors about Star Wars Episode 7, without a figurehead, the Empire didn't just disappear, but they kind of fell apart. They had no leadership. So, what I think, this is my speculation, my rumor, I think that the Galactic Patrol deep in space got the advantage over Frieza's empire. I think Frieza's empire had a real strong grip on the galaxy, but once he fell and once everything went to shit with Sorbet as leader, I think the Galactic Patrol started getting the wins, and then they started to really regulate this shit. And I think what happened, I honestly believe, is that Jaco followed Sorbet to Earth. I think when Sorbet and Tagoma came to Earth, either the first time to get the Dragon Balls, or the second time after Frieza's already been resurrected, I think Jaco spotted them and was like, wait a minute, and he followed them back to Earth to see what the hell was going on. So that's what I think Jaco's involvement is. I think Jaco's going to appear pretty similar to how it was in the Toyotaro adaptation, and it's going to be cool to see the character, because he's a great character, just awesome. Toriyama himself said that Jaco is his favorite character to draw now. So I do suggest everybody go out and get this comic. $10, folks. Viz has a really good translation out for it. It is $10. I read it. It took me 2 nights to read it, just because I took a break halfway through, and it was so much fun. Just such a fun story. Check it out, and if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or you want to talk about Jaco, leave a comment down there and hit that subscribe button, and we'll talk. I do want to hear from everybody. One last thing, I'm actually very surprised that Jaco did not get a anime adaptation, because the story is such an easy story to tell, and I'm not saying that he should get a full-length movie. A little 45-minute special is cool, maybe even a 30-minute special. I mean, it'd be cool if they did kind of like what Pokemon does with the Pikachu movies, where you go see Dragon Ball Z in the theater, but you have a little Jaco, like a 20-minute Jaco story at the beginning. That would be pretty cool. I wish they would do something like that, maybe for the next movie, who knows. But subscribe, comment, spread the word about the channel. let people know I'm here to bring the truth, I'm here to bring the knowledge, and I'm here to bring the good conversation about Dragon Ball. Not just Fukkatsu No F, but other shit too. So I'll catch your ass on down the road.